So are you guys generally knowledgeable on salary ranges in particular fields, or is that something that we find out as we go along? We're usually knowledgeable about salary ranges in the United States. For Canada, we would have to do a little bit more research and get back to you. But here's the thing. I have specific advice regarding compensation and salary when you are job stacking, right? So compensation, when you are in the single employment paradigm, right? Like when you are supposed to only have one job, when you're supposed to be like married to an employer, compensation is a big deal because if, it's the only source of income that you have, right? So you want it to be as high as possible. You want the employer to pay you as much as they can, right? Like as much as possible without you disqualifying yourself from the position, okay? And so, yeah, salary range, compensation is a big deal, and when you're supposed to only have one job, but when you're now under the job stacking paradigm, right? Like when you're aiming for multiple jobs, the individual compensation from each job doesn't matter as much. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't worry. Like I wouldn't say at all. It's a bit too much, but you shouldn't sweat it. Like it doesn't matter. The reason is because since you're job stacking, your income is not tied to one employer, one client, right? You have a diversity of income sources. And if you need more money, if you want more money, then what you do is add another job, right? You just add another job. It sounds, it's easier said than done, but that is the idea of the paradigm. What's important more than the individual compensation from each job is how compatible the jobs are between themselves or compatible with your goals, right? Like of having enough leisure time and making good money, right? Like not be tied to working all day, right? Like working 12, 16-hour days, right? And total compensation, right? Because now, again, when you only have one job, your total compensation is whatever that job pays you. But now your total compensation, which is the total amount of money that you make, is not tied to one particular job. So what one particular client pays you, like it's like you can be more flexible, right? Like what one particular job pays you does it stops. It's not a concern. Like what matters is getting the job. And seeing if it's a good fit, and if it's a good fit, you keep it. And if it's not a good fit, you got paid for whatever, however many days you work that job, right? Like if you worked it for a couple months, then you got 2 months of pay that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, right? And so you just move on to finding another job, right? So I appreciate the question, but you need to stop thinking about stop worrying about how much a particular job, a single job pays, because you're going to add a bunch of jobs. And what matters now, you're going to make a lot more money. What matters is the total compensation and how laid back each of the jobs are, how compatible, how I call it the stack compatibility, right? Like remember job stacking, you're stacking jobs. It's like how compatible they are with the stack.